Jax wiped the sweat from his forehead as he worked deep inside the mining colony on the edge of human space. The air was thick and heavy, filled with the smell of metal and dust. This place was forgotten by most, just another stop in a long chain of distant outposts. But today, Jax was about to find something that would change everything. The mining tunnels had been expanding for years, but today, Jax noticed a small door hidden behind a pile of rubble. It was old, rusty, and covered in strange symbols he didn't understand. Curious, he used his tools to pry it open. Inside, the room was dark, cold, and quiet. There, chained to the wall, was a figure unlike anything Jax had ever seen. Her skin was pale, almost glowing under the dim light, and her eyes were a deep violet that seemed to pierce through the darkness. She looked both fragile and dangerous. She was not human. "I am Silara," she said softly. Her voice was calm but carried a strange power. "Please, help me." Jax's heart beat faster. Alien prisoners were rare, and stories about vampire-like creatures from distant worlds were often told as myths. But here she was, real and in need. "Why are you here?" Jax asked, keeping his voice low. "The mercenaries who run this colony caught me," Silara explained. "They want to sell me to the highest bidder. If you leave me here, I will be lost forever." Jax hesitated. The rules were clear: no interference with alien prisoners. But something about Silara made him act. Carefully, he unlocked the chains. Her skin was cool under his fingers, but she did not try to escape. "Thank you," she whispered. "You have saved me from a terrible fate." Jax helped Silara stand. She looked around, taking in the dusty room. "We must be careful," she said. "They will come looking for me." Suddenly, loud footsteps echoed in the tunnel. The mercenaries were nearby. "Go, I'll slow them down," Silara said, her eyes glowing briefly. "You need to get to safety." "No, I'm coming with you," Jax replied firmly. Silara smiled faintly. "You are brave, but this fight is mine." With incredible speed, she moved toward the corridor. Jax followed, heart pounding. They ran through twisting tunnels, Silara's strength surprising him. They burst out into the open air just as the mercenaries appeared behind them, shouting orders. Silara turned, her eyes shining bright purple, and a strange power surged from her. The mercenaries stopped in their tracks, frozen as if caught in a strong wind. Jax stared in shock. Silara's power was real and dangerous. "Run," she said urgently. They sprinted to a waiting ship. As the engines roared to life, Silara looked back at the colony. "This is only the beginning," she said. "You have freed me, but now we both have a dangerous path ahead." Jax nodded, his mind racing. He didn't know what he had just unleashed, but one thing was clear: his life would never be the same again. The stars outside the ship glowed softly as it sped through space. Jax sat quietly beside Silara, watching her carefully. She was calm, but there was something in her eyes that told him she carried many secrets. "Why did you say you were a princess?" Jax finally asked. "You didn't seem like someone who just wanted to escape." Silara looked out the window for a moment before answering. "I am Silara of the Vrailen. Our people live far from here, in a distant star system. I am the last of my family. My race has powers others don't understand, powers I have learned to control." Jax nodded slowly. "Like what I saw back there. You stopped those mercenaries without even touching them." "Yes," she said, "but my powers come with a cost. Many fear what I am. That is why I was captured. There are enemies even among my own people who want me gone." Jax felt a chill. "Enemies in your own world? That sounds dangerous." "It is," Silara replied. "And that danger is not just for me. There is a threat coming, something big. I freed myself because I needed allies. You are one of the first." Jax stared at her, unsure. "Why me? I'm just an engineer." Silara smiled softly. "You have a good heart. You risked everything to help a stranger. That courage is rare." Jax felt a small pride but also fear. What kind of threat are you talking about? Solara's eyes darkened. A predator from beyond the stars. A race that destroys worlds and enslaves their people. They are coming for this sector. If we do not stop them, no one will be safe. Jax swallowed hard. He had heard stories of war in space, but never imagined it could come here. We need to prepare, Solara said. But first, I must remain hidden. The mercenaries will send others to find me. The ship's sensors suddenly beeped loudly. Warning, a soft voice said. Unknown ships approaching fast. Jax jumped to the controls. Pirates. Mercenaries. Solara stood, her expression serious. More trouble. We have to be ready. The ship shook as laser blasts hit the hull. Solara's eyes glowed again, and she raised her hand. A bright shield appeared around the ship, blocking the attacks. Jax's heart pounded. How did you do that? It is a gift, and a burden, she said. But I cannot protect you forever. We must find allies who can fight beside us. The battle lasted only minutes before the attackers retreated. The shield disappeared, and the ship was quiet again. Jax looked at Solara. This is bigger than I thought. Yes, Solara said quietly. And you are now part of it. The future of many worlds may depend on what we do next. Jax nodded, feeling both scared and excited. He didn't know what lay ahead, but he knew one thing for sure. Helping Solara was only the beginning of his journey. Days passed aboard the ship as Jax and Solara traveled through the quiet reaches of space. The tension between them was strange, a mix of trust and mystery. Jax tried to learn more about Solara's world, but she often stayed silent, lost in thought. One evening, Jax found her standing near a viewport, staring at the stars. Do you miss your home? He asked softly. Solara didn't answer at first. Then she nodded slowly. Very much. But my home is not safe anymore. I was a prisoner there, and now I am hunted. Jax looked at her, sympathy growing. What will you do now? She turned to him, eyes serious. I must find others who will stand with me against the coming threat. But first, I need to hide. The mercenaries will not give up so easily. The ship's computer suddenly beeped. Alert. Unknown vessel detected nearby. Jax tensed. Again. Are they close? Solara nodded. They never stop searching. We need to move. They prepared the ship for a quick escape. But before they could jump to hyperspace, the ship's lights flickered and went out. Power failure, Jax shouted, rushing to the control panel. Solara's eyes glowed faintly as she reached out her hand, sending a wave of energy through the ship. Slowly, the systems rebooted. Good, Jax said, relieved. You saved us. She gave a small smile but said, that was close. They want me back alive. Suddenly, a loud noise came from the rear of the ship. Jax and Solara rushed to see what happened. The cargo bay door was open. Outside, a small scout ship hovered, trying to dock. We can't let them get inside, Solara said, moving quickly to block the airlock. Jax grabbed a heavy tool and stood beside her. The airlock hissed, and two figures entered. Mercenaries, armed and ready. Jax and Solara fought fiercely. Solara's powers made her strong and fast, but the mercenaries were many. In the chaos, one of the attackers fired a strange device. A bright light enveloped Solara. Jax shouted, no. When the light faded, Solara was gone. Jax stood frozen, staring at the empty space where she had been. The mercenaries laughed and fled. Solara, Jax called, but there was no answer. He searched the ship frantically, but she had vanished. Hours later, Jax sat alone in the control room, feeling lost. He wondered if he had made a terrible mistake. What if freeing Solara had brought him danger without hope? Then, a faint signal appeared on the ship's communicator. Solara's voice, distant but alive. Jax, she said, I will return. But for now, you must be ready. The fight is just beginning. Jax clenched his fists, a new resolve growing inside him. He wasn't going to give up. Solara had trusted him once. He would be ready when she came back. Years passed since Solara vanished from Jax's life. He kept her distant message close, never forgetting the promise she made. She would return. Over time, Jax tried to live a normal life. He worked on small ships and kept his head down, but the memory of the vampire princess never left him. One quiet evening, while Jax was repairing an old freighter on a busy space station, the station's alarms suddenly blared. Red lights flashed across the docks. Everyone stopped what they were doing and looked up toward the sky. Jax felt a strange chill. He stepped outside and looked up. A large ship was coming into the station's orbit, a ship unlike any he had seen before. Its sleek design shimmered with a strange light, and strange symbols covered its hull. The ship landed with power and grace, causing the crowd to part in awe. And then, from the ship's ramp, stepped Solara. But she was changed. Her skin still pale and glowing, but her eyes now burned with a fierce purple fire. Around her stood a group of warriors, strong, tall, and armored in alien gear. They moved with purpose, ready for battle. Jax's heart raced. This was the alien princess who once needed his help. Now she had come back, with power and strength far beyond anything he had imagined. "Jax," Solara said as she approached, her voice calm but commanding. "I promised I would return, and I bring help." Jax blinked. Help? From who? Solara looked over her shoulder at the warriors behind her. "From my people, the Vraylan. We've come to protect this sector, including your world." Jax swallowed. Protect from what? Solara's expression grew serious. "The predator I warned you about is real. It moves through the galaxy, destroying everything in its path. My people and I have gathered forces to fight it." The crowd around them murmured, unsure whether to fear or trust this strange alliance. Jax noticed some humans watching with suspicion. "How can we trust you?" Solara met his gaze. "Because I need you, and humanity, to stand with us. The enemy will not stop at my world or yours." Jax felt a surge of pride mixed with fear. The stakes were higher than ever. Solara then turned to the crowd. "Together, we can stop the darkness before it reaches your home." The crowd's tension slowly changed to hope. Jax stepped forward. "If you want me, I'm ready to help." Solara nodded approvingly. "Good. We will train together, plan together, and fight together. Time is short." As the sun set over the space station, Jax realized that his quiet life was over. The alien vampire princess had returned. And with her, an incredible surprise: the chance to save humanity. The meeting hall was filled with leaders from many worlds. Humans, Vraylan, and other alien species gathered around a large table. Jax stood beside Solara, feeling the weight of what lay ahead. The room buzzed with nervous energy and quiet whispers. Solara spoke clearly, her voice steady. "The predator I warned you about is not just a story. It is a real force of destruction. This species, known as the HFY, travels from system to system, consuming all life and enslaving survivors." One of the human leaders frowned. "How do we know this isn't just a scare tactic? Why should we believe you?" Solara's violet eyes met his. "Because we have seen their attacks firsthand. My people lost many worlds to the HFY. They are ruthless, powerful, and nearly impossible to stop." Jax felt a chill. The thought of a species so dangerous it could destroy entire planets made his blood run cold. Solara continued. "They use advanced technology and brutal tactics. Their mind control can turn strong warriors into slaves. If we do not unite, the HFY will take this sector next." The room fell silent. Then, a commander from a nearby star system spoke up. "What can we do? Our weapons and ships are no match." Solara nodded. "That is why we must combine our strengths. The Vraylan have unique abilities and technology. Humans have creativity and resilience. Together, we can develop new strategies. Jax listened carefully. He was still just an engineer, but now he understood the importance of what Solara said. After the meeting, Solara pulled Jax aside. "You must prepare. I will train you and others to fight. The HFY scouts are already near." Jax's heart pounded. "Train me. I'm not a soldier." Solara smiled. "You have courage. That is more important." Days turned into weeks. Jax learned to use new weapons, adapt to alien technology, and understand Solara's combat techniques. He pushed his limits and discovered strength he never knew he had. Despite progress, not everyone was convinced. Some humans doubted the alliance with Solara and her people. Rumors spread that the Freelan might have their own hidden plans. One night, as Jax practiced in the training yard, a group of humans approached him. "We don't trust those aliens," one whispered. "You should be careful." Jax shook his head. "Solara saved me once. She's on our side." The group frowned and walked away. Jax felt the weight of their suspicion but stayed focused. The coming battle was too important. Then, one morning, alarms blared. The HFY scouts were spotted near a nearby moon. The first real test had arrived. Jax and Solara rushed to the command center. The battle was about to begin. Jax took a deep breath. His quiet life was gone. Now he was part of something much bigger, a fight to save the galaxy. The training grounds buzzed with activity. Jax stood among a group of humans and aliens, sweating under the strange, purple sky of the Freelan training base. Every day was hard. Solara pushed him beyond his limits, teaching him to fight, to use alien weapons, and to control his fear. "You must learn to trust your instincts," Solara said, her voice calm but firm. "In battle, hesitation means death." Jax tried to focus, but doubts gnawed at him. Could he really become a warrior? Could humans and Freelan truly work together? Around him, others trained too. Humans with new weapons, aliens practicing strange powers. But not everyone was happy. Some humans whispered that trusting aliens was dangerous. One day, Jax overheard a heated argument. A human officer accused Solara's people of hiding secrets and using humans for their own goals. Solara heard this and did not respond. Instead, she turned to Jax later. "Not everyone will accept us," she said quietly. "But we must prove ourselves by our actions." Jax nodded. He wanted to believe in her, in their cause, but it was hard when so many looked at Solara's people with fear. One evening, Jax found himself alone with Solara. "Why did you come back for me?" he asked. She smiled softly. "Because you are more important than you know. You represent what humans can be. Brave, kind, and willing to fight for more than themselves." Jax felt a warmth in his chest. "I just want to help." Solara placed a hand on his shoulder. "That is why you will succeed." But training was not the only challenge. Sabotage struck the base one night. Equipment was damaged, and important supplies disappeared. The leaders suspected spies, humans or aliens working against the Alliance. Jax felt the tension rise. Trust was fragile. Then, the day came for their first test. Scouts reported a small enemy force approaching the base. Jax and the trainees prepared for battle. Solara led the defense, moving with speed and power. Jax fought beside her, using the skills he learned. The battle was fierce but brief. Together, they defeated the scouts. Afterward, some of the doubters started to see the truth. Unity made them stronger. Solara turned to Jax, her eyes glowing softly. "You did well." Jax smiled. "I'm ready for what comes next." But deep inside, he knew the challenges ahead would be even harder. The real war was coming. And soon, the sky above the training base was dark and filled with stars. Jax stood at the edge of the command center, watching the distant blips on the radar. The HFY scouts were coming again. This time, they'd brought a bigger force. Solara stood beside him, calm and focused. "This is it, Jax. the first real test of our alliance. Jax's heart beat fast. Months of training, fighting side by side with humans and Freylin, had led to this moment, but fear and doubt still crept in. The alarms began to ring loudly through the base. The Exalcare ships appeared on the horizon, dark and menacing. The battle was about to begin. Jax and the other fighters ran to their positions. Humans manned the turrets, while Freylin warriors prepared their strange weapons. Jax gripped his rifle tightly, ready to defend the base. The first wave of enemy ships attacked swiftly. Lasers flashed through the sky, hitting the shields around the base. Solara's eyes glowed fiercely as she raised her hands, sending a powerful energy wave that pushed back several enemy ships. Jax fired his rifle, aiming carefully. His shots found their targets, but the enemy was strong. Some of the Exalcare soldiers landed near the base, ready to fight on foot. The battle became chaos. Jax fought bravely alongside Solara and the others. He dodged attacks, helped wounded fighters, and used every skill he had learned. Suddenly, a group of Exalcare soldiers tried to sneak behind their defenses. Jax saw them and warned the others. Together, they stopped the enemy from breaking through. The fight was long and hard. Many were hurt, but the alliance held firm. Slowly, the Exalcare began to retreat. When the last enemy ship fled, a tired cheer rose from the defenders. Solara smiled at Jax. "You did well. We won because we fought as one." Jax nodded, proud but exhausted. He looked around at the faces of his friends and allies, humans and aliens who had come together to protect their homes. But the victory felt small compared to the danger still ahead. The Exalcare would return, stronger and with more forces. Later, as the base quieted, Solara spoke to Jax. "This battle showed our strength, but also our weaknesses. We must prepare better." Jax agreed. "We have to be ready for the next attack." Solara's eyes softened. "And you have become a true warrior. Your courage inspires many." Jax smiled, feeling a new confidence inside him. He was no longer just an engineer. He was a fighter, a protector. The first battle was won, but the war was far from over. The quiet of the base was strange after the battle. Jax sat alone in his quarters, staring at the stars through the small window. The victory felt good, but his mind was restless. Something about Solara's words stayed with him. The mention of enemies within her own world. The next morning, Solara called Jax to a private room. Her face was serious. "There is something you must know," she said quietly. "Not all of my people want this alliance. Some see me as a threat." Jax frowned. "Why? You're trying to protect us." Solara sighed. "I am different from most of the Freylin. I believe in peace and cooperation, but others want power and control. They fear what I stand for." Jax felt a mix of surprise and sadness. "So, you were imprisoned by your own people?" "Yes," Solara replied. "Because I would not follow their cruel ways. I was locked away to stop me from helping others." Jax shook his head. "That must have been hard." "It was," Solara said, "but it made me stronger." She paused, then continued. "There are spies here, on the base. Some among us are not loyal." Jax's eyes widened. "Spies? From your people?" "Maybe from both sides," Solara said. "We must be careful." That night, Jax kept watch. He noticed strange movements and whispered conversations. Trust was breaking down. One evening, Jax caught two men sneaking near the weapons storage. He confronted them. "Who sent you?" Jax demanded. They looked nervous but said nothing. Before Jax could act, Solara appeared, calm and commanding. "Let them go for now. We need proof before we accuse anyone." Jax reluctantly agreed but felt uneasy. Days later, a sabotage caused the base's power to fail during training. Solara quickly restored the systems with her power, but everyone was shaken. Tensions grew. Humans and Freylin eyed each other with suspicion. Jax tried to keep peace, reminding everyone that the enemy was outside, not inside. Solara spoke at a meeting. We must stand united. If we fall apart now, the Exalcare will win. Her words helped, but doubts remained. One night, Solara shared more of her past with Jax. I was betrayed by those closest to me. It is hard to trust again. Jax placed a hand on her shoulder. You can trust me. Solara smiled faintly. Thank you, Jax. Your friendship means more than you know. As the days passed, the alliance grew stronger, but the shadow of betrayal stayed. Jax understood now. This war was not just against an outside enemy. It was also a battle for trust, loyalty, and hope. The real fight was just beginning. The sky was dark and filled with tension. Jax stood on the command deck, watching the stars ahead. The Exalcare fleet had arrived, bigger and more powerful than anyone had expected. This was the moment they had prepared for, the final battle to save their homes. Solara stood beside him, her eyes glowing bright violet. Her presence was calm but strong, giving hope to everyone around her. The commanders gave orders. Ships took their positions. Soldiers checked their weapons. Jax felt his heart pounding but stood tall. This was not just a fight for survival. It was a fight for the future. As the Exalcare ships closed in, the battle began. Lasers lit up the dark sky. Explosions shook the ships. Jax fought in the thick of it, using everything he had learned. Solara moved like a shadow through the chaos. She used her powers to protect her allies, to break the enemy's lines, and to heal the wounded. Jax followed her lead, trusting her completely. The Exalcare were strong and cruel. Their mind control pushed some soldiers to fight against their own friends. Jax saw this happen and felt a deep anger. But he also saw bravery, fighters who resisted the control and kept fighting. The battle dragged on for hours. Many ships were lost. Many lives were gone. But Jax and Solara's forces did not give up. At one point, the enemy's flagship appeared, a huge dark ship that seemed to swallow light. Solara looked at Jax and nodded. This is it, she said. We must stop them here. Jax's hands trembled, but he nodded. Together, they led a small group in a daring attack on the flagship. The fight inside the ship was brutal. Jax used all his skills to stay alive. Solara's power was like fire, cutting through enemy soldiers and machines. Finally, they reached the heart of the ship. Solara faced the enemy commander, a terrible being who controlled the Exalcare fleet with dark power. With a burst of energy, Solara broke the commander's control. The enemy soldiers stopped fighting, confused and free. Jax and Solara's team destroyed the flagship's core, causing a massive explosion. Outside, the remaining Exalcare ships fled. The battle was won. Exhausted but victorious, Jax looked at Solara. We did it, he said. Solara smiled tiredly. Yes, but the galaxy will always need protectors. Jax nodded. I'm ready. As the sun rose over the battlefield, Jax knew this was only the beginning of a new era, one where humans and aliens fought side by side for peace. The battle was over, and the galaxy was quiet once more. Jax stood on the bridge of the newly rebuilt ship, watching the stars shine brightly. Around him, humans and Freelan worked side by side, their faces hopeful and proud. Solara stood nearby, her eyes calm but full of strength. The war had changed them both. They had faced the darkest threat together and survived. Now, it was time to build something new. We did not just win a battle, Solara said softly. We began a new alliance, one of trust and hope. Jax smiled. I never thought I'd fight alongside an alien princess. Now, I can't imagine it any other way. Solara laughed gently. And I never thought I'd find a friend like you among humans. The leaders from many worlds met to sign the Treaty of Unity, a promise to protect each other and work together. It was the first step toward peace in a galaxy long torn by war and fear. Jax felt proud. He had gone from a simple engineer to a leader who helped bring worlds together. But the journey was not over. One evening, as the stars twinkled outside, Solara and Jack stood on the ship's deck, looking at the vast space before them. "Do you think the Exalcar are truly gone?" Jax asked. Solara's eyes narrowed. "They are weakened but not destroyed. There will always be threats, but together we are stronger." Jax nodded. "Then we must be ready." Solara reached out, touching his hand. "You have become more than I ever expected. A protector not just of your world, but of many." Jax felt a warmth spread inside him. "And you have shown me the power of hope." The stars above seemed to shine brighter, as if celebrating their new friendship. Suddenly, a small ship appeared on the sensors, approaching fast. The crew tensed. "Unknown vessel," the communications officer said. Solara smiled. "No matter what comes next, we face it together." Jax gripped her hand, ready for the next adventure. The galaxy was wide and full of mysteries, but one thing was certain: humans and aliens, united by trust and courage, could face anything. As the ship soared into the stars, Jax and Solara looked ahead, knowing their story was just beginning.